The hospital hallway fell silent the moment the young black belt stepped forward, his jaw tight with pride and anger. The fluorescent lights above flickered against the polished floor as nurses, patients, and security guards froze in place. A cruel grin spread across his face as he pointed at the quiet nurse standing across from him and muttered the words that would soon haunt him. He believed he was about to humiliate a weak hospital worker. What he didn't know was that the woman he mocked had once survived the brutal training of the most elite warriors in the United States Navy. Before we continue, take a moment to support stories that remind the world about kindness and humility. If you believe people deserve second chances and respect, please like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone who needs inspiration, and subscribe to the channel. It was a warm autumn afternoon in Austin, Texas, and Mercy Ridge Medical Center was as busy as ever. Doctors rushed between patient rooms, stretchers rolled through the corridors, and the quiet rhythm of hospital life continued like a carefully practiced symphony. Among the staff was a nurse named Rebecca Lawson. To most people, Rebecca seemed ordinary. She wore her navy blue scrubs neatly, tied her brown hair into a simple ponytail, and moved through the hospital with calm patience. She rarely spoke loudly, never argued, and always carried a soft kindness in her eyes. Many patients adored Rebecca because she treated them with a rare kind of compassion. She listened to frightened families, comforted elderly patients who felt forgotten, and worked long shifts without complaint. But behind her calm smile was a past that very few people knew about. Years before working at Mercy Ridge, Rebecca had served in the United States Navy as part of an elite SEAL support unit. Her training had pushed her beyond physical exhaustion, beyond fear, beyond limits most people would never understand. She had learned to survive underwater missions, brutal combat drills, and the crushing mental pressure designed to break even the strongest recruits. But when her military service ended, Rebecca quietly chose a different life. Instead of medals and missions, she chose healing. She became a nurse because she believed saving lives could happen in many ways, not only on the battlefield. On that particular afternoon, the hospital doors burst open with sudden chaos. A group of young men entered the emergency department carrying their injured friend. The injured man, named Marcus, had apparently been hurt during a martial arts sparring match at a nearby gym. Blood trickled from a cut above his eyebrow, and his ankle appeared badly twisted. His friends were loud, impatient, and clearly irritated by the wait time. Among them stood a tall young man named Tyler Brooks. Tyler was well known at the local martial arts academy. At only 23, he had earned his black belt and believed it made him nearly unstoppable. His confidence had slowly turned into arrogance, and arrogance had turned into something far uglier. While Rebecca calmly examined Marcus and prepared medical supplies, Tyler leaned against the wall with folded arms. His eyes followed her every movement with mocking amusement. To him, the hospital environment felt slow and weak compared to the aggressive world of combat sports. Rebecca spoke gently to Marcus while cleaning his wound, her voice steady and reassuring. She explained that the ankle might be fractured and that they would need an X-ray. Marcus nodded, clearly relieved to be treated with care. But Tyler suddenly scoffed loudly, drawing attention from people in the room. He made a mocking comment about how hospitals were full of soft people who had never experienced real toughness. Several nurses ignored him, but Rebecca remained calm, continuing her work. Unfortunately, Tyler's pride demanded more attention. He stepped closer, towering over Rebecca, trying to provoke a reaction. The hallway quieted again as patients and staff sensed tension building. Rebecca finished wrapping Marcus's ankle before slowly standing up. What Tyler saw in that moment confused him. He expected fear or nervousness. Instead, the nurse standing before him looked calm, balanced, and strangely composed. Tyler laughed and began boasting about his black belt, about how many fights he had won, and about how people like him were the real definition of strength. His friends chuckled behind him, feeding his ego. Rebecca listened quietly. For a moment, it looked like she might simply walk away. But then something shifted. Not anger. Not pride. Just a quiet firmness in her posture. Rebecca gently asked one of the nurses to continue assisting Marcus while she stepped into the open hallway. Her movements were smooth, controlled, almost effortless. Tyler followed, assuming he had already won whatever strange challenge he imagined was happening. What he didn't notice was the subtle change in Rebecca's stance. Her shoulders aligned, her feet grounded firmly against the floor. Years of elite military training resurfaced like muscle memory. The crowd watching grew uneasy. Then, in a calm voice that carried across the corridor, Rebecca explained that real strength was never about humiliating others. It was about discipline, restraint, and protecting those who couldn't defend themselves. Tyler laughed again, believing she was bluffing. But when he stepped forward aggressively, Rebecca reacted with speed that stunned everyone watching. In one swift movement, she redirected his momentum, controlled his balance, and pinned him to the ground without striking him once. The entire action happened so quickly that most people barely understood what they had witnessed. The proud black belt who believed he dominated every room now lay helpless on the hospital floor, completely restrained by the nurse he had mocked moments earlier. Gasps spread through the hallway. Security guards rushed forward but quickly realized the situation was already under control. Rebecca calmly released Tyler and stepped back, offering him a hand to stand up. Her expression showed no anger, only disappointment. For the first time since arriving, Tyler looked small. His face flushed red with embarrassment as he slowly stood. Rebecca then explained quietly that she had once completed training that only a small fraction of Navy recruits ever survived. She had fought through freezing water, sleepless nights, brutal combat drills, and missions that required absolute discipline. But she never bragged about it. Because true strength didn't need an audience. The entire hospital corridor stood silent, absorbing the moment. Tyler's confidence collapsed into something far more human. Regret. He realized he had walked into a place where people fought real battles every day, battles against pain, illness, fear, and loss. And the woman he mocked had chosen to dedicate her life to helping those battles instead of proving herself. Before we reach the end of this story, I want to ask you something important. If you've ever learned a life lesson the hard way, write the word respect in the comments right now. It helps remind everyone watching that humility is one of the greatest strengths a person can have. Tyler quietly apologized before leaving the hospital that day. The arrogance in his posture had disappeared. In its place was a humbled young man who had learned something far more valuable than another tournament victory. Rebecca simply returned to her work. Another patient needed help. Another family needed comfort. And the hospital returned to its steady rhythm. But the story of the quiet nurse who once stood her ground spread through Mercy Ridge Medical Center for months afterward. Not because she defeated someone in a fight, but because she showed what real power looked like when guided by compassion. If this story touched your heart or reminded you that strength and kindness can exist together, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in humility, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories like this. Sometimes the strongest heroes are the ones wearing scrubs instead of uniforms, and they never need to prove it.